Hello and welcome, a very warm welcome to Business Plus here on News9 Live. I'm Krishnakumar and I'm being joined in the studios by my good friend and colleague Kartik Malhotra and Suyash Maheshwari. Thank you, Kartik and Suyash, for joining us. And before we begin this evening edition of business news updates here on News9 Live, which we usually do with how the markets have closed for the day, a big huge announcement hit the stock markets, and that is the listing of Reliance Group's Jio Financial Services. Suyash, the news that the markets have been waiting for ever since a month ago, the demerger of Jio Financial Services from Reliance Industries was announced, and now we know that the 21st of August is when Jio Financial Services is going to be listed as a stock. Talk to us, what is the price discovery looking like?
Yes, so Krishna, last month after the demerger, the expectation was that the stock will be listed on bourses in a span of 2 to 3 months. Now, the stock is being listed prematurely. It will list on August 21, which is the upcoming Monday. Now, this will also be, the listing is scheduled a day before FTSE Russell plans to drop the stock from its indices. Now, currently, Jio Financial Services is, the stock has been credited to the account, but you are not allowed to trade in it. So it's basically in your portfolio as a dummy ticker, right? Now the script will be in the trade for trade segment for 10 days after its listing from August 21. Trade for trade segment is essentially a segment where the stocks which are included in that segment are subjected to additional regulations. So the stock will see a stricter regulations. The circuits will be lower compared to other stocks. Also,
basically to control volatility in a newly
exactly.
listed stock, right?
Yes, and all the deliveries will be on cash basis.
Okay.
So you can't margin trade on the stock, no FNO.
Okay, so basically from August 21st till the 30th, till the end of the month, it will be in this trade for trade segment, a small segment mainly meant for newly listed stocks with circuit filters which are very low so that to control the volatility. And then what happens post the come September 1st?
Does the price change in those 10 days?
Yes, so I mean,
So
you
is
are
it
allowed
a
to
secondary price discovery before you can actually trade in the stock?
No, the stock will be available for trading, but you can only buy or sell the stock on a delivery basis. So only cash settlements are allowed in the stock.
Got it. Nice.
So that's
Okay.
there.
So Monday.
Okay, so fair enough. Monday it happens, but I'm curious to know what happens after those 10 days. It becomes a regular stock.
It becomes a regular stock and trade.
What is the kind of price that you're looking at at this stage?
I mean, the price discovery was about 261.85, which was much ahead of what the market was expecting, which was about 160 to 170. So already the stock is sitting on substantial gains, and even if you look at Reliance Industries stock, it has been under pressure, but after the news came out today, it was up about 1% and it closed about 0.7% higher.
All right, hold your horses, hold on. We'll get into the stock market action, specific stock action in just a bit, and of course Sensex as well. We have Amit Gupta also joining us in the broadcast. But before we go to Amit, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to come to you in just a minute, Kartik. Before we move forward, there is a reason why we're discussing Jio Financial Services listing even before we discuss the broader markets for the day. The impact of it and the value unlocking of it and what it means for Reliance Group per se and investors in Indian stock markets is huge, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, there is no denying that every time there is any announcement by Reliance, the first thing people do is go onto the ticker and check what is the stock trading at.
Yeah.
And every announcement that Reliance makes, whether it is retail, whether it is Jio, whether it is petroleum, whether it is anything under the sun, it's always big. It's always huge. There's always something for everybody in any announcement from Reliance.
Fair enough. Amit, what about this particular one, Jio Financial Services? Huge expectations, price discovery way above market expectations. How do you view this announcement that it's going to start in the trade for trade segment, as Suyash is telling us, from Monday onwards?
Yes, I think Jio Financial, the price discovery has sort of taken away a little bit of the premium which was expected. The earlier expectation for the stock was about 160, 190, but the hypothetical price scenario is now about 260. And remember, exchanges or rather SEBI actually made a change by which the stock will be removed from Nifty after T+3. So 3 days after August 21st. So on 24th, the stock will be removed from Nifty. So that means a lot of the passive indices have to sell Jio Financial shares on 24th of August. So my calculation is about $500 million of total amount will be sold on 24th. So, and in any case, it remains in T2T for 10 days. So the trading will be limited, during this period. But as far as the business is concerned, I think it's a futuristic business. Right now, it's not much clarity, which business out of the Jio Financial, whether it's AMCs or insurance, how much they are able to scale it up in the coming years. But it's an exciting opportunity for the market.
Hi Amit, good evening. Kartik here. Nice to see you again after a while. But I think the deal with BlackRock is fairly significant and does give us an indicator at least that it could be in the AMC business, isn't it?
So Kartik, the joint venture is between BlackRock and Jio Financials, but they haven't got the license for the AMC yet from SEBI. I think that's going to take some time to come. At least next 1.5 years will go. Usually it takes about three and a half for the full license to come. We have seen in the recent cases like Helios and Zerodha as well. So my sense is it's the application is in process, but it would take some time before the products are actually launched in the market. And we really don't know the strategy as of now. Whether the AMC will be purely passive or a combination of passive and active. So the strategy is not clear. I don't want to jump the gun, as far as Jio Financial is concerned. I think slowly and gradually we'll come to know about their business plan. Their AGM on 28th August will be very interesting to know some details about Jio Financials and how they are laying out the roadmap of future plans in the financial services industry. It's a very well capitalized company and starting off as one of the stronger players in the field. Yeah.
Say no more about the quality of capitalization of something like Jio Financial Services. Suyash, you want to ask about something?
Actually, it was a very good point that he raised that a lot of passive funds will start selling Jio Financial Services simply because they do not have to maintain that stock because they obviously track these indices, and since it's falling out, they will start selling these stocks. Now, one of the reasons I think why it was placed in the trade for trade segment was because the correction does not happen like the circuit limit is revised, right? So we won't see any massive correction.
It wouldn't happen in one fell swoop that you sell everything one day and the stock price crashes on one day because of that. And probably in preempting this, you're saying, is the reason why it's already put in that trade for trade segment, if I'm right.
So actually, for that, Amit, where do you see the price of Jio Financial Services
settling? Eventually, it's 261 odd at this point in time.
Yeah, 261 is there, but I think the real price, price would be known after 10 days. Because the first 10 days, it's in T2T segment like any other demerged entity. The circuit filters will be 5%. So the movement will not be much. It can go either -5 or +5 from the opening price. So I think the real price discovery will happen only after 10 days. Even the fund would get interested only after 10 days. And even the traders would, who want to.
Amit, can we expect
do it till the stock is listed?
Right. Amit, can we expect any movement on the Reliance stock as well, or that story is over now? Because we've seen Reliance stock is also trading in the 2580, 2600 rupee levels, and pre-demerger was in the 2800 plus segment. So with the price discovery coming at 261 right now, it's pretty much paired itself against the Reliance stock. So is there going to be any impact whatsoever on the Reliance stock?
It was up 1% for the day, wasn't it?
It was up 1% and it spiked sharply after the news came out.
Yeah, right. I mean, there is nothing to punt on if the Jio Financial is not listed. So, Reliance is showing some signs of that. We saw even today a smart recovery from the day's low. But I think once the Jio Financial is listed, the impact of that will go away, from the Reliance share. The Reliance, the oil prices have been sort of stable. Plus, we have this windfall taxes which comes now every and then. So I think there are that business is sort of consolidating and not really on the aggressive path as such. I consider that business to be separate, which will be led by renewables in the coming 5-10 years. So I don't really mix these two segments.
And while we are talking about demerger, Amit, I can't resist asking, do you see a similar story play out for ITC as well?
Yeah, ITC Hotels is a very, very small business for the overall ITC entity. It's only 3% of their revenues, and the demerger would take about a year or maybe even more. I think the management has guided for about 15 months for the full demerger. So it's a good from a shareholder's perspective, but I don't think it really changes the gains for ITC, where more than 70% of the revenues actually come from the cigarette business.
Fair enough.